The iron gate groaned as Elena pushed it. A long metallic scream echoed through the empty courtyard. Rust flakes fell from the hinges and scattered across the cracked concrete. Sophia stopped walking. "Wait," she whispered. Her voice trembled in the cold evening air. Elena didn't turn around. She kept pushing the heavy gate until it opened wide enough for them to slip through. Behind them, the town square was already growing quiet. A few people watched from a distance. Some were shaking their heads, others were laughing. Two homeless girls had just bought the old county jail. For $6, Sophia stepped inside slowly. The wind moved through the building and rattled the metal bars of the empty cells. It sounded like someone whispering through the darkness. "Elena, this place is terrifying." Elena finally stopped and looked around. Rows of rusted cell doors lined both sides of the corridor. Dust covered the floor. Broken windows allowed the evening wind to whistle through the building, and yet, for the first time in 3 nights, Elena felt something close to relief. At least now they had walls. Only 72 hours before, the sisters had still believed they had a home. Their house was small. Old paint peeled from the wooden walls. The roof leaked when it rained. But to Sophia, it had always felt warm. To Elena, it had always felt like responsibility. After their mother died, Elena had slowly become the one holding everything together. She cooked, she cleaned, she made sure Sophia finished schoolwork, and she tried to protect her younger sister from the quiet sadness that had filled the house ever since their mother disappeared from their lives. Their father used to be different. Years ago he had been patient, funny, the kind of man who built wooden shelves and painted the house himself. But grief had slowly changed him. Then came the Jets. The mechanic shop where he worked closed during a recession. Temporary jobs came and went. Bills began stacking on the kitchen table, and alcohol started filling the spaces where hope once lived. The arguments grew louder every month, until the night everything finally broke. Their father arrived home late. Elena noticed immediately that something was wrong. He didn't speak when he entered. He simply walked to the kitchen table and sat down heavily. In his hand was a white envelope. His fingers trembled. "Elena," he said quietly. She stepped closer. "What happened?" He pushed the envelope across the table. "Read it." Elena opened the letter. Her eyes moved across the page, slowly. Then she stopped breathing. Foreclosure. The bank had taken the house. Sophia saw Elena's expression change. "What is it?" Elena tried to keep her voice steady. "It's nothing." But Sophia grabbed the letter and read it herself. A moment later she began crying. No, they can't do that." Their father stared at the table. "I tried to fix it." His voice sounded empty. "I tried everything. Elena shook her head. "We'll find another place." But their father didn't answer. Instead, he stood up slowly. Then he walked to the front door and opened it. The cold night air rushed into the house. "You girls need to leave." For a moment, Elena thought she had misunderstood. "What? I can't take care of you anymore." Sophia grabbed Elena's arm. "Dad, please." But he didn't look at them. "Take what you can carry." The train station bench felt colder than stone. Cars passed occasionally. Streetlights flickered above them. Sophia leaned against Elena's shoulder, crying quietly. "Elena, what are we going to do?" Elena watched the empty road. She had no answer. The backpack between them contained everything they owned. 2 shirts. One photograph of their mother, and $6. That was all the money they had left. Sophia eventually fell asleep, but Elena stayed awake. Every sound made her tense. Footsteps, a passing truck, wind rattling a loose sign above the station entrance. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory. "When life traps you, look for the door no one else can see." At that moment, Elena couldn't see any door. The next morning, they walked through town searching for work. But no one wanted to hire teenagers without an address. Hours passed, hope slowly faded. Then Elena noticed a crowd around the town notice board. A group of men were laughing loudly. One of them pointed at a paper taped to the board. "Look at this one." Another man shook his head. "They're practically giving that place away." Elena stepped closer. The paper read, "City property auction, abandoned structures." She scanned the list. Old warehouse. Empty gas station. Collapsed storage building. Then one name made her pause. Old County Jail. Price, $6. Sophia leaned over her shoulder. "Elena, that's the prison." Everyone in town knew about the old jail. Closed 20 years earlier. Too expensive to maintain. Too creepy to renovate. Stories about the place filled local gossip. Some said a prisoner had died during a riot. Others believed the place was haunted. But Elena saw something else. Walls, roof, shelter. Sophia shook her head immediately. "Elena, we can't live in a prison." Elena folded the paper slowly. "Yes, we can." Sophia stared at her. "People say it's cursed." Elena gave a tired smile. "Ghosts don't scare me." "What does?" Elena looked back toward the street where they had slept the night before. Being homeless forever. The wind pushed through the empty jail corridor again. Sophia wrapped her arms around herself. "Elena, are we really staying here tonight?" Elena looked down the long hallway of empty cells. Dust floated through the dim light. Broken glass covered parts of the floor. But something about the building felt solid. Strong. Safe. "Yes," Elena said quietly. "For the first time in 3 days. We have a place." Sophia looked at the rows of prison bars again. Then she whispered something that Elena would remember years later. Maybe this place was meant for us. Elena didn't know it yet, but that abandoned prison would soon change everything. The first night inside the prison was long. Longer than either of the sisters expected. Wind slipped through the cracked windows and echoed through the metal corridors. Every sound seemed louder inside the building. A loose door creaked somewhere down the hallway. Water dripped from a pipe in the distance. Sophia sat on one of the old metal beds inside the first cell they had cleaned. "Elena, did you hear that?" Elena was sweeping dust into a small pile near the door. "It's just the building, but what if someone else comes here?" Elena stopped sweeping for a moment. That possibility had crossed her mind already. The prison had been abandoned for years, but that didn't mean nobody visited it. Still, Elena forced a confident smile. "If someone comes, we'll deal with it." Sophia wasn't convinced. She wrapped the thin jacket around her shoulders. "This place feels like it remembers things." Elena looked around the empty corridor. Rows of metal bars stretched into the darkness. For a moment, even she felt the strange weight of the building's history. But then she remembered the bench at the train station, and suddenly, the prison didn't feel so frightening anymore. "It remembers something," Elena said quietly. But tonight, it's remembering us. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the broken windows. Dust floated through the golden light. The sisters woke early. They had a new mission. If they were going to survive in the prison, they had to make at least part of it livable. Elena began by opening every window she could reach. Fresh air slowly moved through the building. Sophia dragged an old mattress into the courtyard. "We can dry this in the sun," she said. Elena nodded. Good idea. The work was slow and exhausting. They cleaned broken glass, moved rusted furniture, swept years of dust from the floors. By afternoon, they had managed to clear 2 cells, a small storage room. It wasn't comfortable, but it was theirs. 3 days later, someone else arrived at the prison. His truck stopped outside the gate. Elena noticed the engine immediately. She stepped into the courtyard and saw a tall man walking toward the entrance. He wore a dark jacket and a serious expression. Sophia whispered nervously, "Who is that?" Elena recognized him. Mr. Hargrove, a city council member, and one of the most powerful men in the town. He looked around the prison courtyard with clear irritation. "What are you girls doing here?" Elena stepped forward calmly. "We bought the property." Hargrove frowned. That building was never meant for children. It was auctioned legally. Hargrove walked slowly through the courtyard, inspecting the broken walls. "You can't live here." Elena crossed her arms. "Why not?" He stopped walking. Because this place is dangerous. Elena knew the real reason. The city had plans for the land, but those plans required the prison to remain empty. What kind of danger? Elena asked. Hargrove didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at Sophia. You girls should leave before something happens. The warning sounded less like concern and more like a threat. That night, something strange happened. Elena woke up suddenly. A sound echoed from somewhere inside the prison. Metal scraping against metal. She sat up quickly. Sophia stirred beside her. What's wrong? I heard something. They listened carefully. Another sound. Footsteps. Someone was inside the building. Elena grabbed a small flashlight. Stay here, she whispered. But Sophia followed anyway. The beam of light moved slowly through the corridor. Then Elena saw them. Two teenage boys standing near the entrance. They looked just as surprised to see her. What are you doing here? Elena demanded. One of the boys laughed nervously. We thought this place was empty. Elena shook her head. Not anymore. The boys looked around at the cleaned cells. You live here? Elena nodded. They exchanged looks. That's actually kind of cool. The next day, the same boys returned, but this time they weren't alone. They brought tools, and paint, and a small generator. Elena stared at them in confusion. Where are you helping? One of the boys shrugged. This place has been useless for 20 years. Maybe it deserves a second chance. Sophia smiled for the first time that week. The prison slowly began changing. Walls were cleaned. Broken doors were repaired. Lights flickered on again in some of the corridors. Word began spreading through the town. The abandoned jail was coming back to life. One evening, Sophia sat in the courtyard watching the sunset. Elena, do you think we can really stay here forever? Elena leaned against the old prison wall. Why not? Sophia pointed toward the town lights in the distance. Because eventually, someone will want this place. Elena knew she was right. Then a memory suddenly surfaced. Every summer, the town hosted a large festival. Visitors came from everywhere, but hotels were always full. Elena slowly sat up. What if people came here instead? Sophia frowned. To the prison, Elena nodded. Think about it. Where else can someone sleep inside a real jail cell? Sophia stared at her for a moment. Then she began to smile. That's either the craziest idea ever, or the best one. A week later, they painted a sign outside the gate. Historic jail stay. Rooms available. At first, only curious visitors stopped to look. Some took photos, others laughed. But one traveler asked a simple question. How much all for one night? Elena and Sophia looked at each other, because neither of them had expected anyone to ask that. But in that moment, something incredible began. The prison was no longer just a shelter. It was becoming an opportunity. And the town that once laughed was about to witness something it never imagined. The first guest arrived on a rainy afternoon. His car stopped outside the old prison gate, tires crunching over gravel. Elena noticed the headlights through the window of the small office they had cleaned. Sophia looked up from the notebook where she had been writing possible room prices. "Is someone here?" Elena stepped outside cautiously. A man in his 30s climbed out of the car, holding a camera bag. He looked around the old building with clear fascination. "This is the place?" he asked. Elena nodded slowly. "Yes, you're the ones renting the cells." Sophia appeared beside her. "They're rooms now," she said quickly. The man laughed softly. "I'm a travel photographer." He pointed his camera toward the building. "I saw your place online." Elena blinked in surprise. Online. One of the local boys who had been helping them repair the prison had posted photos on social media the day before. Those photos had already spread farther than anyone expected. The photographer smiled. "How much for one night?" Elena hesitated. She had imagined this moment many times, but now that it was happening, her mind suddenly went blank. Sophia answered before she could. $20. The man nodded immediately. Deal. That night, for the first time in 20 years, someone slept inside the prison by choice. The photographer posted pictures the next morning. The images were beautiful. Sunlight passing through old prison bars. Flowers Sophia had placed near the windows. A breakfast table set in the courtyard. His caption was simple. Spent the night in a $6 prison hotel run by two sisters. Within hours, the story began spreading online. People were curious, then amazed, then inspired. Messages started arriving. Travel bloggers wanted to visit. History enthusiasts wanted tours. Adventurous travelers wanted to sleep in the old jail cells. The abandoned prison was becoming famous, and Elena could barely believe it. But not everyone was happy about the sudden attention. One morning, a black sedan stopped outside the gate. Elena recognized it immediately. Mr. Hargrove stepped out. This time he wasn't alone. Two city officials walked behind him carrying folders. Hargrove looked around the busy courtyard. Guests were drinking coffee. Sophia was guiding a couple toward their room. The prison no longer looked abandoned. It looked alive. Hargrove's expression hardened. "This ends today." Elena stepped forward. "Excuse me. You can't run a business here." "Why not?" "Because this building was never approved for commercial use." The guests nearby stopped talking. Everyone was listening now. Elena crossed her arms. The property was legally purchased. That doesn't mean you can turn it into a hotel. Sophia whispered nervously beside her. Elena. But Elena refused to step back. "What exactly are you trying to do, Mr. Hargrove?" He gave a thin smile. "Protect the town." But Elena understood the truth. The prison land had become valuable, and someone wanted it back. That evening, Elena spoke with one of the construction workers who occasionally helped repair the prison. His name was Marcus. He lowered his voice before speaking. "You didn't hear this from me." Elena leaned closer. "What is it?" Marcus looked toward the gate. "The council wants to sell this land." "To who?" "A developer from the capital." Elena felt a chill run through her. What are they planning to build? Luxury apartments. Everything suddenly made sense. The prison had never been dangerous. It had simply been inconvenient. Until now. Because now, 2 teenage girls had turned it into something valuable. And that made them a problem. 2 days later, the city sent inspectors. They walked through every corridor, checked every room, examined the courtyard. Guests watched nervously as the officials took notes. Sophia whispered to Elena, "What if they shut us down?" Elena kept her voice calm. "They won't." But inside she wasn't so sure. The inspectors finally finished their tour. One of them approached Elena. "Your renovations are surprisingly good." Elena nodded. "We worked hard, but the building still needs safety upgrades." Elena's heart sank. "How much?" The inspector checked his clipboard. "Approximately $20,000. Sophia gasped quietly. They barely had 200. That night, Elena sat alone in the courtyard. The old prison walls felt heavier than before. Sophia joined her quietly. "We tried," Sophia said softly. Elena stared at the ground. "I'm not giving up, but how can we fix everything?" Before Elena could answer, headlights appeared outside the gate. 3 cars stopped in front of the prison. Several people stepped out. One of them was the travel photographer who had stayed there first night. He smiled when he saw Elena. "I brought friends." Behind him were journalists, bloggers, and a man wearing a suit. "I represent a travel network," the man said. "We heard about your story." Elena looked confused. "Why are you here?" The man smiled. "Because places like this deserve to survive." Within weeks, the prison hotel exploded in popularity. Videos of the building appeared online. News channels visited. Visitors came from other cities. The same town that once laughed now bragged about the unique attraction in their region. And suddenly, Mr. Hargrove's plan became much harder to execute. Because closing the prison now meant destroying something people loved. One evening, Elena stood near the iron gate again. The same gate she had pushed open weeks earlier with trembling hands. Now guests walked through it every day. Sophia stood beside her. "Do you remember the first night here?" Elena nodded. "We were terrified." Sophia smiled. "And now?" Elena looked around the courtyard filled with laughter and lights. Now this place isn't a prison anymore. Sophia tilted her head. What is it then? Elena smiled softly. It's freedom.